It's just like, well, just an experience. You know, when your daughter's small, you take them to class, walk them to class, you give them a kiss on their cheek, and somewhere down the road they start wiping it off. You know, so you just gotta kind of know when that age bracket, when it changes, that now you also have to change your tactics.
Yeah.
What you did as a 6, 7, 8-year-old, you can't do as a 11, 12, 13.
Right.
You have to use a different approach, because then it doesn't be so combative. When it becomes combative, what's going to happen? Good cop, bad cop. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to be on the wrong end of the stick. You know, and you know, teenagers don't know how to always go into having relationships. So when you have your heart involved in it, in fact, the rule normally should be, you know, they should start dating when they're looking to be married.
Exactly.
Right now, it should just be a sociable event.
Oh yeah.
But you know, they don't always think of it that way, and this is where some of the strategies have to change of how you approach them, because they don't gather that.
Exactly.
Right.
And I agree. Like I said, for our household, you know, we try to put it into place. Like, you know, it was especially when they were young, and of course they agree with mom and daddy. Like unless you're about to get married, and you know, we're old school. You know, we take it from that standpoint of it shouldn't be that much stress on our kids, you know, in terms of dating, because it can get super stressful as they are young, trying to navigate this thing, and they're seeing their friends. So my wife and I, of course, we were like, don't want it to be stressful for you. Let's just get to know people friendly, go out in groups. No, none of this extra, you know, exclusiveness isn't for that. But of course, you know, when they're out and about and at school with their friends and stuff, they're seeing something different. So I agree with that in terms of like the different tactics. Like, we haven't changed the modem per se, of the mode of how we want her to interact, but we've had to adjust it slightly just because it's starting to get a little bit more harder than just saying like this is the way that it has to be. But I think with this last situation that happened, again, she just has to make a mistake. She has to make some of those mistakes. Mm-hmm. She's not gonna be perfect. Y'all know, I mean, we've all made mistakes, so it just has been a learning process of trying to again, let her make those mistakes, but just so they don't get so far gone where, you know, it's that, you know,
right.
that is too far gone. It's just that snowball effect rolling down the hill. Well, cool. Okay, so let's wrap up.
I just wanted to say one other thing, that in raising your children, and you talked about how when they go to school, you know, it's a little different because of the peer pressure that they're having. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important to get to know their friends, get to know who they're hanging around, and that it helped me when I was raising my daughter. Well, it happened by, I guess, how can you say it by accident, but it did happen that way, where I knew her friends and the friends knew me, and they knew the standards that I wanted to keep for my daughter, which can, and in turn, maybe even change some of their friends' mindset on how they react. Because now I know Mr. Hammond's daughter, I know Mr. Hammond, I know he requires this, and this. I'm living in a different situation, but if I'm going to be around Mr. Hammond's daughter, I have to, you know, change the way I react or do things, because I know that Mr. Hammond is not going to like that, or Mr. Hammond's daughter is not going to, you know, comply to what we're doing. So I think it's very important that, you know, fathers and mothers need to know their daughters, who they're hanging. I think it's very important to know who they're hanging around with. Number two, even though the parents, like back in the day, the parents knew the parents, and I don't know what has happened over the generation has changed, where sometimes students are allowed to go over parents' house that the parents never even met before. They don't know, and so then you get a lot of things that happen, you know, in between because the parents has never really met the children's, parents, and I think that's important that you get to know the parents that your children are hanging around with, and I think I just really think it's so important. And the other thing that I wanted to say was, right now we're in a generation where the two parents are not living together. You got, a parent that's over here and then a parent that's over here. Different rules, different situations, whatever. My advice to all the parents that are out there, I don't care if you can't get along with the father anymore, you can't get along with the mother anymore. And I know I'm switching gears a little bit, but make sure that you guys are on the same page with your daughters. Make sure you're on the same page. Not one be strict. I mean, in a natural sense, one may be a little strict, but be on the same page as far as morals, values, and that type of thing, because I think it's so important that the child doesn't think, okay, now that I'm over here with daddy, it's relaxed and I can go in and see so-and-so, and those things kind of happen. So just be on the same page.
But like I said, even to this is a hot topic, unfortunately, because you're talking about unstructured time. But dads and daughters, if you go to a bookstore, even right now, I guarantee you're gonna have a difficult time finding a book on dads and daughters.
Right.
You're gonna find something on sons and mothers, sons and fathers, but you're gonna have a hard time with the dad and daughter. That relationship is so taboo. It's unbelievable. You would think there'd be more material out there available for dads that if you have a daughter that's being born, that's probably the greatest thing in the face of the earth, and you're gonna protect them. But then when they stop being your baby per se, and they get grown or they grow up, it's a difficult task sometimes for dads that were involved. Now the dads who are not involved, they put their daughters at a huge disadvantage because now they don't have anything to measure. They have no, and as we get to other topics, you're going to find out even with sons, it's double jeopardy. It's not the same. You're going to protect your daughter totally different than you would your son. I mean, I just totally. Somebody look at it wrong. It's going to be good. It'll be like it's your woman or something, but it's your daughter. It's someone that you're protecting, someone. And one thing we all know, because we all have daughters, they have a special place in our heart, but they can just,
right.
They can get you twisted. They can get you around their pinky, and you'll be like, "What am I supposed to do?"
Right.
But, have your daughter angry with you when they're 12 years old or 13 years old, and that little one that was bringing you joy now is bringing you grief because she's trying to do something that you don't want her to do.
Exactly.
But it has to, and that's adolescence. That's a whole nother subject. But it's important that the unstructured time you do things with your child. Just things that you do with your daughter on a one-on-one basis. Because if you don't, down the road, you're not even going to have the ability to say, "Hey, I think you're going in the wrong direction," because they're not going to hear your voice.
Right. I seen the script.
It's going to be a miss thing.
I seen the script where the mother. It was dramatized script, but the mother wasn't allowing the father. He wanted to be a good father.
It wasn't
right. She didn't want him to see the daughter because she wanted him to give her more money. Whatever.
Yeah, we saw that too.
And it was the other day we seen that. And when he did get a chance to see his daughter, and his daughter was probably only about 6 or 7 years old. He already had a list of things that he was going to do with her. I mean, he could not wait. And I think that's the way it should be. You know, you should start off when they're young, doing things with them, having quality time with your child, which is so important. And he just could not wait to do those things with his daughter. And I think that's what men ought to do. Real men.
Yeah, how many of us had to have high tea?
Oh man, tell me about that.
High tea with your daughter.
And again, that's a great way to kind of wrap up this conversation. But in terms of like real men get it done, is a portion of what like this labor of love in terms of doing this channel is really just breaking some of the stereotypes that have been placed on dads about like what we're supposed to do and not do. And so for me on my channel, you'll find me doing my daughter's hair, you'll find us cooking, you'll find us cleaning together. Those are all things that we're doing collectively just as a family, but with all of my kids, just to show them like, okay, I want you to be a productive adult where you can do stuff on your own, teaching you responsibility and everything. So I wholeheartedly agree that, again, our kids should, and the way we put it is that, you know, this is all of our home. It's not just mom and dad's, like this is all of our home. So we're all going to take care of it together. Great conversation, guys. Again, I hope you guys found some tips and tricks that you can use to be helpful as you are raising your daughters. Dads, just be encouraged. We know, as we just even discussed briefly, there's so many different variables and things going on where it may be baby mama drama, or you may be under the same roof with your daughter and still there's just things going on. But be encouraged. Try to find good, positive role models of men, whether it's your local church or local youth group, other men that have done it that you can kind of go and ask questions to. But just be encouraged. This fatherhood thing isn't always easy, and we need to be supported by other men. And for the women who support us and back us, definitely appreciate you guys too. But dads, be encouraged. Share this video if you know somebody who needs the encouragement, needs some help in raising their daughter. And we just appreciate all the dads and fathers who are out there. So real men get it done. This conversation is a wrap for now. And again, focusing on dads and their daughters. Real men